What's going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dillon, and I got some updates that I want to get to you guys. I want to get to them really quick, so I'm going to do that in a second. Just wanted to note that my eyebrows are still growing in. I know it's hard to tell, but they are. They're just growing in really slow. So, now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and jump right into the news. The first thing, is pretty much, what we've already pretty much known. It's just an update to, the camp schedule. The teams are expected to have players report to training camp on Tuesday, July 28th, which is exactly 2 weeks from now. And the Dolphins will be at the Davie Center, the Baptist Health Training Facility, where they usually are. And the number hasn't exactly been identified yet, but they will be dropping from 90 to either 80 or 75 players, yet to be determined. So there's that. Let's see. Next, we have, like I said, that was pretty much what we already knew. That's still the plan going forward. And as far as I know too, they're also still just only going to be dropping 2 preseason games, but we'll see how all that plays out. Anyway, this next little update is regarding the NFLPA seeking out opt-out clauses for at-risk players' conditional stipends, sources say. So the NFL and NFL Players Association continue to negotiate terms for a return to work, and players are requesting financial backing in case they decide to sit out the season. Among the requests in the players' recent proposal to the league, according to a source involved, an opt-out clause for at-risk players to receive salary but not bonuses if they decide not to play, an opt-out clause for players with at-risk families to earn an accrued season and benefits if they decide not to play, an opt-out clause for players who leave the team after reporting terms uncertain, a $250,000 stipend guaranteed to all players if they show up to camp and everything is shut down because of COVID-19 concerns. That amount rises to $500,000 if the season starts, only to be shut down. The definition of at risk is part of the discussion, and procedures for applying for medical opt-outs are not yet finalized. They gotta hurry because we're 2 weeks away. So if a player is serving a suspension and the season gets canceled, the games unserved will not carry into the next season. The league's June 7th memo listed the following as considerations for high-risk individuals. Listed the following as considerations for high-risk individuals: African Americans, Hispanic, or Pacific Islander. Okay. BMI is greater than or equal to, body mass index is greater than or equal to 28. Sleep apnea, hypertension, altered immunity, diabetes mellitus, cardiac disease. According to ESPN's Dan Graziano, players also want no salary in escrow for 2020 and no reduction in the 2021 salary cap despite projected revenue loss, which they'd prefer to spread over multiple years. The league's initial ask to place 35% of this year's salaries in escrow is considered a non-starter. A source told Graziano that no further conversations between the NFL and NFLPA are scheduled for Wednesday after the two sides talked each of the past 2 days. Several issues remain unresolved. Players want testing every day and no preseason games, while the league wants testing less frequently, such as every other day, and 2 preseason games. Upon returning to camp, players want a lengthy acclimation period before beginning full practices to avoid injuries and to get comfortable in the new working environment. Both sides must decide whether trimming the 90-man training camp roster to avoid unnecessary contact is the right thing. On the equipment front, the league has worked with Oakley on a protective face shield, but players are lukewarm on that. Both sides want camp and want to play, so the goal is to get there, survive the likely initial wave of positive tests, and manage expectations from there. Honestly, I read some of this already to you guys, and you already know how I feel about it. Honestly, at the end of the day, I think that the appropriate and the correct decision would be to shut down the NFL, and the NFL and the owners take all of the hits. It shouldn't be shared. The players shouldn't have to take hits at all, because the resource disparity is enormous, right? So it's just massive. It's absolutely massive. Like, if you were to, take all of the players, right, from, Patrick Mahomes, who's going to be the most, although to be fair, players like Tom Brady have more personal wealth accrued, but if you take the fucking all the players and combine them, guaranteed they have far less resources than the NFL and the owners will, right? Because again, each owner is a billionaire, and the NFL is a multinational corporation that's got to be worth hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars. So they should take the fucking the brunt of all of it. They should just shut down the season and pay these guys whatever their contracts fucking entail, and that's it. Anyway, but you know, that's how I feel. Anyway, so there's one other really actually super interesting bit of news that I want to share with you on top of that. I mean, most of that obviously is stuff that we already know, but you know, the developments are basically that there's not really you know, any developments, because there's still lots of things that they are discussing and talking about that are unresolved, and you know, so we'll have to wait and see how all that plays out. Like I said, I mean, they got exactly 2 weeks, so there's that. All right, this article on Bleacher Report is fascinating, and so let's get into it. Dolphins hire infectious disease specialist on medical staff amid pandemic. So on its face, wonderful, absolutely wonderful. However, to this point, they haven't mentioned anything about reducing capacity at the stadium. So let's keep that in mind. But also, you know, all of the other overarching points, you know, about how and why this, you know, season to begin with is folly. Anyway, but let's get into this. The Miami Dolphins will have at least one additional member on their staff during a 2020 season that will take place amid the COVID-19 pandemic if play goes ahead as scheduled. According to Halabib of the Palm Beach Post, the AFC East team hired an infectious disease specialist from Baptist Health as part of the medical staff. We've tried to think outside the box in all areas, head coach Brian Flores said. Okay, I mean, the reason why I'm stopping here is because it's true that they are literally trying absolutely everything to ensure that the profits of the NFL are maintained, right? So they are trying to do everything in their power to make sure that the season starts on time, that they can have as many fans in the stands as possible, that you know, to mitigate some of the losses for fans not being there, they're going to have additional advertising. They want the fans and all the players and everybody to sign waivers so they don't have to have any kind of accountability whatsoever if people get sick and or die. They want, you know, the players to take pay cuts, have some of their pay in escrow, blah, 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 right? All of this shit. So it's like, okay, yeah, you're thinking outside the box, but it's super greedy, like greedy as fuck. It's for y'all's bottom line. I mean, and in this case, to be fair, I'm not saying Brian Flores, right? This quote of his is a representation. He's speaking for the NFL as a whole, and it's true, and he's right about that. They are doing everything to make sure that the greedy machine that the NFL is continues to go, no matter how much risk is taken by the fans, the players, etc. But like, I mean, like I said, to me, in my perspective, the only acceptable and right answer, legally, financially, economically, morally, ethically, whatever, it doesn't matter, shut down and the NFL takes the fucking hit. Because they could go the next decade and be fine, you know, but their profits are more important. Anyway, Habib explained the Dolphins are using 2 locker rooms featuring plexiglass barriers, meeting rooms with capacity cut in half, modified food service, and an altered weight room. As a staff, as an organization, we've combed through the CDC and the NFL facility guidelines, Flores continued, and what we've done is we've thought to ourselves, what can we do to go above what those guidelines are? And that's great, but I mean, it's still, because it's just too large of an undertaking and way too many moving parts to control to even do it to begin with, right? So like, they can do as much as they want, but my guess is it's going to prove folly, as the reopening plans for states have already proven, and the NBA and their bubble has been penetrated. Like, I mean, okay, well, we'll see. We understand, I understand, players are going to be on high alert when they get here, if they get here, and we just want to put them at ease. Despite all these changes, or perhaps because of them, Flores said he is still cautiously optimistic there will be a season. The NFL, unlike the NBA, MLB, MLS, and NHL, did not have to make any adjustments to its regular season schedule in the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic in the United States, given the timing. While March was a busy month for those other sports, the NFL is not slated to start until September, which bought them some time, but because of our leadership in this country that didn't do things anywhere near properly, this thing is being, drug out far longer than it should. And, I mean, but this is all part of it. It's all cyclical because it's just this cycle of fucking bullshit. Anyway, however, there have been rising numbers across many areas of the country throughout the summer, necessitating these changes and bringing football's immediate future into question. And like almost every expert out there says that it's going to intensify again just naturally when the, fall and winter time comes, just because that's already, the sixth season, right? Anyway, as of Tuesday, there have been more than 3.4 million confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the United States alone, which is the most of any country. Florida has been a particular hotbed, and Habib noted the state reported 9,194 new cases Tuesday. I mean, the day before, they had over 15,000 new cases. So that is the backdrop for the Dolphins as they make these changes and bring in an infectious disease specialist on board. I mean, what is it going to do? What is he going to do? What is that guy going to do? Like, I mean, unless he advises them to shut down, not, do this, he or she, not do this altogether and prevent the, the near guaranteed outbreaks that are going to happen. I mean, what's the point? Because it's not like their presence is not going to make the fucking virus go away, right? Like, anyway, our goal is to make sure our facility is a place where the players feel safe, Flores said. Miami is scheduled to start its season on September 13th against the New England Patriots. Well, like I said, man, I mean, I've done plenty of videos and, to this point now, telling you guys what I think. I think it's stupid, foolish, and I think it's only for the singular purpose of continuing to enrich, the elites and the wealthy in this country, the billionaires that are the NFL owners and the NFL as a multinational corporation at the expense of the players, the coaching staffs, the fan bases, etc. And it's funny too, man, because these coaches, like I have, as you guys know, and this is how I'll wrap this up, man. You guys know that I have my issues with Flores, right? In this particular context, no issue. I mean, he's saying the right things, and they, in some ways, appear to be doing more. They need to publicly come out with, be the next domino to say that they're at the very least reducing stadium capacity, but whatever. So they're trying, and he doesn't really actually have control over all that stuff, right? That stuff comes from, I mean, really the federal government to start with, and then each of the state governments, and then, the leadership within the organization. So then Stephen Ross on down. And unfortunately, the stuff coming from the federal government is trash. It's either misinformation or lies, or whatever, or they don't cover it. The state governments are not doing very well as a whole, but particularly in Florida. And well, Stephen Ross is a racist and a Trump supporter, so I mean, whatever. And he's a billionaire that only gives a fuck about his profits, as do the rest of them. So I mean, Flores in this case doesn't really have any say, so that's about as much as he can do, right? And so credit to him for just doing as much as he can, right? But I mean, at the end of the day, I can't fathom how these guys the reason why I'm like hesitating is because he honestly could even do more, right? Because, and what I mean by that is just to be like, no, look, like John Harbaugh was vocal about, dude, these guidelines are not going to be adequate at all. Like, be more forceful about that, but he's not gonna, because he's proven, in my opinion, and I mean, he's not the only one when it comes to this context. You know, like all these GMs and stuff are just being like, yeah, we're gonna get it, man. And these head coaches, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get the season going. We're gonna do it. We're just gonna do it. We have to do it. It would be unimaginable not to have a season of football. Okay, well, I mean, like I said, I need to get out of here because I don't want to keep ranting and just repeating myself. You guys know how I feel. Continue to watch my videos, and you'll hear more of it. And watch my old videos. You'll hear specifics about different things. But look, man, it's gonna be. We got 2 more weeks, and 2 weeks from now, we're gonna see what happens. Because if they open up training camps, it's gonna be a disaster. Watch. I mean, I hope not. I don't want it to be, but it's definitely headed in that direction. All right, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. I hope you guys appreciate my perspective. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Share my channel and videos with your friends and family. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. And of course, as always, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Dillon Tartaro. And with that, I'm out. I'll see y'all soon. Fins up.